Lori. I am an instructional designer at Kirkwood Community College, and we have a team of 4. Each one of us sort of has our own specialization, and I ended up being the one studying artificial intelligence. So my particular focus or approach to this is trying to find tools that faculty, staff, and students can use, and also tools that are free. So the materials that I shared with Lori ahead of time are a few, one of them being sort of a comprehensive 14-page outline of a few more details associated with the tools that we'll highlight today. The second one was a spreadsheet focusing on the main AI platforms that exist, in case you were curious about those, looking at Gemini, looking at ChatGPT, looking at Claude, U, and Pi, and some others, and focusing in that particular case on their functionality, again, all being free. And I'm not sure if I supplied one more about how to turn data off, but if you'd like that, I certainly can. So what I'm going to talk about today are just a handful of tools that I'm trying to frame in the 5 E's of inquiry science, seeing how they will apply to each one of those steps. I'm not a scientist, but I was hoping that through my experience with AI, be able to provide things that were useful to everyone. And please feel free to ask questions at any time. That's what this is all about. So I will be talking about AI for Sci, focusing on AI-powered tools to support inquiry science. As was brought up by Professor Guerrero on Monday, so this is really a nice sort of sequence. He talked about AI and math and gave a very nice overview of the technology. We can see that it's done a lot of positive things. Chemistry Nobel Prize goes to developers of AlphaFold. He referenced that is used to predict protein structures. And then pioneers in artificial intelligence won the Nobel Prize for Physics. So it clearly is a very exciting time to kind of be alive with this technology that we don't yet know what will look like or where it will take us in the next handful of years. In terms of points of interest, just to really paint a very broad image of the context that we're working in, I will be talking only about free version functionality. I really have the position that students don't need to pay for a subscription in order to be able to benefit from these tools. I know some people would disagree with me, but there's so many tools that can do so many different things. I just don't think that we need to ask students to incur that additional financial burden in order to be able to benefit from AI tools. As we said, we'll be looking at all functionality with no subscription. That does mean at times that some of the features might be limited. So for example, maybe if you're looking at My Lens, you only get 3 storyboards every day as opposed to unlimited if you were to have a subscription, but you can just keep coming back to that tool every day, and 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 kind of adds up. So I don't think you need to, again, pay for that. That robustness, I think, is pretty uniform, and you can use one tool and then another tool and then another to compensate for the fact you might get unlimited use. For example, Graphy is one that we will look at. You get only 3 boards, but you can kind of erase the board and then reuse the board again. So there's certainly ways to work around what we might see as initial limitations for the fact that it's not a paid subscription. Some tools such as Notebook LM, which is fascinating, and I think everyone's going to love that, is still in beta testing. So again, some of the bugs might still be in the process of being worked out, but Notebook LM is fascinating. The developers just keep adding additional fascinating features, and we'll highlight some of those today. No tool is still 100% reliable, regardless of what the developers might tell us. So the user really still has the burden to guarantee that what is being produced by generative AI is accurate and factual. That's just the way it is. Maybe in the future, it won't be that way. So having said that, there are just 3 things I'd like to call to everyone's attention, regardless of the tool that you are using. The first one has to do with hallucinations. All AI models still hallucinate. And that is just simply the idea that it is going to give you information that is inaccurate or information that it made up. And that's because it doesn't have the information that it needs in order to properly respond to your query, or perhaps because there is an inherent degree of randomness that is built into all of these models. So if all of us were present and all of us said, the cow jumps over the, and we asked AI to give us an answer, it's possible that 5 of us are going to get the moon, and then the 6th person is going to get the wrench, because there's always just this little bit of randomness, kind of like throwing a die. So hallucinations, they're present. Some models hallucinate more than others. If you want to follow up on this specifically, because AI developers don't really tell us how much their models hallucinate, there's something known as the Galileo Hallucination Index. And they actually try to categorize and list for you which models hallucinate more, which hallucinate less, and then provide some statistics to back that up. Bias we probably will most see reflected when we ask these models to create images. If I ask an AI model to create an image of a college classroom, I routinely get classrooms that are entirely male and entirely Caucasian. And we know that that is not representative. So if you type in, what does a politician look like, or a CEO, or a doctor, we're going to get the stereotypical image. If we ask, what does a nurse look like, we're going to get the stereotypical image there. That just has to do with the fact that developers are not using data sets that are representative or diverse, so it can be addressed. I think the follow-up problem with that is developers are not really that interested in addressing bias right now because they're too focused on competing against each other. Having said that, if you want to use a more representative and inclusive AI model, Latimer AI has been trained solely on African American and Hispanic data, and that's trying to kind of bridge that gap and provide a more inclusive representative model. The last point to think about is known as the in the middle problem. It's like when you bake a cake and the outside is done, but the inside is not. Most models still, if you upload documents to it, will be able to analyze with some degree of accuracy the beginning and the end, but it gets very fuzzy in the middle. So if you upload a document, be aware that the middle will not be analyzed to the same degree as the beginning and the end. If you'd like to address that, then when you prompt the model, ask it to treat all information within the document as uniformly important. Another approach might be to have it summarize each paragraph in a sentence or two, and that will force the model to treat all of that information as being equally important so it doesn't kind of bypass, as we said, that part in the middle. So the technology is amazing. It's very confident. It responds very quickly, but it is not yet 100% perfect. So that's just something to keep in mind, regardless of the tools that we use. Having said that, we will now highlight very quickly what the 5 E's of inquiry science are: engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And that's how I broke down the spreadsheet, focusing on each one of the 5 E's and then placing in the tools that I thought most represented what we were trying to do in terms of our objectives of each step. And then obviously the tools will overlap, and the stages, are not necessarily 1, 2, 3, but they can kind of overlap and be cyclical and everything like that. But that is how I tried to frame what we'll be looking at today. And that's really the structure of the PowerPoint, just trying to share with you different tools for each step. So having said that, we're actually going to begin before the first E, and that is what is outlined in the materials that I shared, Magic School. Magic School is absolutely fantastic. Whether you're teaching a science course or not, this provides at least, because they keep adding to this, 70 different tools to help with all stages of course development. Even if you're in the free plan, you'll get access to the 70 plus tools or the entirety of their suite, I think for about 2 weeks, and then they kind of take you down to about 50 tools. But really, you can do everything from lesson plans to icebreakers, how to rephrase things to make it more adaptable to individuals with different levels of reading comprehension, for example. Raina is their Magic School proprietary chatbot, so you'll also be able to engage with a chatbot if you wish. They provide templates for their individual tools so you can see how you can properly put in the information to get the best results that you want. And they also include exemplars, so you can see what a really good model might be so that you could mimic that. It also allows AI slides to be created, and you can export those to Google. The tools are exceptionally customizable, and I will admit, even though the interface maybe looks a little more juvenile than college level work, when you go into a tool, you can choose the academic level, and they have K through 12, and they also have university. As I understand it, they're in the process of trying to redo the user interface so it looks a little bit more mature, but you actually can choose to have the tools work with students at the university level. And the templates are very nice, so you know what exactly you need to enter into each one so that the tool will function more properly. As we said, it generates lesson plans, it generates rubrics, it helps summarize YouTube videos, whatever the 70 tools can do, and those templates really do help, as well as the models to follow. Magic Student is also fun because this allows instructors to create their own classroom environment where their students can work only using the AI tools that they select. The second thing that's really nice is faculty have the ability to see how the students are engaging with the AI models. So if there is anything that might be considered inappropriate or unethical, they can remove the student from having access to that tool. And that also might be a way if students are not really familiar with how to use AI to help sort of guide them to use these more properly. So Magic Student, again, free component. You create your classroom environment, you select the tool, and then you let the students engage with it. So that's really kind of nice. And as we said, the students are going to be using only the tools the instructor selects. We will see that Raina is only going to then be working with that information. And so everything can kind of be vetted by the faculty member. So Magic School, I would highly recommend because it is exceptionally robust and they seem to be adding tools every month. Perplexity is also something that you might want to work with, and this really could go during any stage of the 5 E's. This is actually not a generative large language model in the sense that we're used to. It is an AI-powered search engine. And so people think that this might be what the internet looks like in the future, because when you enter your prompt, the responses you will get will be vetted and summarized by the AI. So it's not going to be a list of URLs. It'll give you a summary, and then it will provide for you what it has vetted in terms of follow-up locations online to be able to find this information. This is also very nice because you can select that it has an academic setting. So you can ask it specifically to have that focus if you'd like the students to use this and hopefully get more quality information than just randomly stuff that might be pulled out on the internet. So Perplexity is very, very nice. And again, if you want to share with your students what the future might look like, this might be kind of fun for them. In addition to the academic focus, you can have it focus on internet components, math, writing, video, which is very nice. So it depends on the task that you would like the students to undertake. And the responses also include sources now, in-summary citations, recommendations for additional research, and additional information types. So if there is an issue, for example, of students and transparency, it's great for them to be able to look at the responses and then follow up on those sources to see if they're legitimate. Over the summer, I had 44 different citations, insert citations, and I clicked on a couple of them. About 20 of them were from the same paper. So this really is a good way for students to be able to follow up on where the information comes from, see if it exists in the first place, and then judge its quality. In-summary citations are also something that you can see Google do with its searches if you ask it to, if you ask the new AI to be embedded, but it will do it in Perplexity all of the time. So again, we've said this might be the future of where things are headed. If you want students to do group work, this is a new feature called Spaces. You can have 5 documents in total uploaded to a space, and then students can ask other students or invite other students to join them. They can interact with the AI regarding those files, or they can interact with the AI in terms of working with the internet. You get to choose that. The only sort of caveat is the 5 documents are your maximum for an unpaid account, and it is the individual who creates the space who is able to upload those documents. So other members of the group can't contribute in that sense, but you can share what you have done with the AI with them. And this would be a wonderful way if there's a group project to have students cooperate, or even if they're just carrying on group discussions. This is a wonderful way for them to sort of build upon what they have each been contributing to the model and really sort of expand upon those prompts. So that's something that's very nice, and Perplexity kind of sells it as a new learning environment. So that is Spaces, and that, pardon me for going back, is accessible here on the left-hand side in the menu. And that is quite a robust tool. Claude 3.5 Sonnet is another tool that can be used for engagement. This is, according to some, probably on par with ChatGPT 4. So this, again, is another opportunity to work beyond OpenAI or to use a model that you don't have to pay for. It's exceptionally robust. The only problem might be it's very, very popular now. So the Sonnet model is sort of the middle of the road model that you want to use. If the system is sort of overwhelmed in terms of usage, they will push you down to the smaller model, which is known as ACUE. It still is robust, but not as robust as Sonnet might be. Still, if you can catch it at a good time, I think this is wonderful. What you see right here is a screenshot that I have shared because you can actually ask the model to create charts and graphs for you that are interactive. You can also ask it to interpret charts and graphs that you upload to the model in the form of an image. And recently they have even expanded that feature so that it can interpret charts and graphs in PDFs themselves. So we have this piece here. if you had like sort of a, not a bar chart, but maybe a chart with some lines, it's actually interactive. If you roll the mouse over it, it will show you different statistics and everything. And this is something that you can export if you understand how to use the proper code. I would just have to use a screenshot because I'm not a computer programmer. But if you know the code, you can actually have it downloaded and embedded into a different source. So it's very robust visually. Again, a lot of people think it's as good as 4.0 and ChatGPT. So it's nice to have an option. You're not always stuck going to OpenAI. Free accounts get up to 30 chats a day. That's, again, if you don't see the system being overwhelmed with a lot of use. It'll be reduced when it's very busy, even for IACUE, but it still gives you about 8 to 12, I believe. So you really can interact with the model, again, a lot, I think, if you do it over the course of a couple of days, even if you're not paying for a subscription. It can interpret handwriting. So if you have written notes, it can transcribe those for you. If you upload the image of a chart or a graph, tell me what the x-axis is, what kind of trends am I supposed to look at here, what questions should this generate? It actually can interpret those as well. And I have uploaded some charts and graphs in the image format only and asked the model to help me interpret it, and it did a very good job. This is also great if students end up taking pictures of other individuals' notes if they might miss a class, and now you can ask the AI to transcribe that. So that certainly is a time saver. It has the ability, if you code or if you ask it a particular question, to actually generate for you what it thinks it will look like. And that's what we have through data visualization. So that's another nice feature. So you actually can see what it would look like if it were processed. It actually now says that if you upload an entire PDF, it can analyze the images inside of that. I haven't tested that yet. That's come out in the last month and a half, I think. But it now says if you upload the entire document and ask it to analyze particular visuals inside of it, it can extract those independently without you having to do it through a separate image form, which is how I've worked with it before. And you can also, as I said, run code on it if that is interesting. So it's a very robust model in terms of being fluid with writing and then also helping with code and then also doing sort of previews. If you type in something, it'll show you what it might look like. So Claude, I think, is a fantastic tool to follow up on. And this is the chart that it came up with for me when I attached a text CSV file on average rainfall in Iowa. And you can see that I had highlighted here one of the data points when I was rolling my mouse over that it would share. So if students have information that you would like them to analyze, you can ask them to upload it to Claude, and then you can see it creates a very interactive feature, which really might help them better understand trends, understand how the data is being processed, et cetera. So I think this is another contribution of this particular model. And then here's an example of the handwriting. I have 3 images of 3 handwritten recipes from the culinary arts program. I uploaded those 3 here, and then I asked the model to transcribe those, and it did a very good job with all 3 of them. Had a little bit of trouble in that last one because the writing got a little smudgy, but in terms of time saving, this is fantastic because now you have all of it copied for you. You can just copy it, paste it someplace else, and then just keep moving on. So this is really a good example of computer vision. In the past 2 weeks, Google Gemini has announced that it can do the same thing. So now if you have some handwriting, you might want to try and upload that image again to Google Gemini, and they are now claiming that they can transcribe handwritten materials as well. I've used Claude for translation, and it's also done a very good job with that. I think all the models do a good job with translation. If we switch to another very mainstream tool, Copilot, this is from Microsoft, and it is available in Edge. What I'm showing you here is what you can do if you change some of the settings within the platform so it can analyze anything that it can call up in the browser. And I think that's what makes this particular tool very robust. So if you go into settings and you ask the system to update the toggles in relationship to Copilot, if you toggle on the idea of allowing Copilot to access context clues on the web, what that means then is any information that you call up in the web, which I have here on the left side, you can ask the AI to analyze. So if you have reports, if you have PDF files, if you just have news stories, once you change those settings, you can type into the AI, which you see on the right side, what is the main argument? Can you make an outline for this? Can you translate this? Can you explain it and remove the jargon? It really is a fantastic way to get more out of the tool because now you're asking it to integrate with the internet. Once you do that, in addition to it, and I think this is another plus, if you have a PDF on your laptop, but not online, once you've changed those sidebar settings, right-click on the file, again, on your laptop, on your desktop, open with Edge, and then it will actually open the PDF in the browser window, and then you can use the AI to analyze the PDF. So if you have materials that you share with your students, now they have a really easy way to interact with the PDF using this particular AI. And again, it's all for free in this case. Shares in-text source references. That's becoming a little bit more common. So students can follow up on the little numbers that they find integrated into the output that the AI generates, again, to make sure that the sites exist and that they have confidence in the source in the first place. In addition, and we see this with Google Gemini, this is a wonderful way to bring down barriers if you want students to share with you where they are getting their information and whether or not they're using AI. User AI interactions can be shared just with the click of a button after the prompt has been responded to. It will be shared through email. You can share it through Facebook, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Reddit posts, or in OneNote. What that means is the interaction between the AI and the student can be shared with faculty very, very easily. And I think that's a wonderful way to promote transparency. And it makes it easier for the student who might be saying it's going to take too much time for me to copy and paste, for me to do screenshots. I'm just going to use AI, not tell anyone. Now, once that prompt is generated, you just click the share button, choose how you want to share, and the faculty member and the instructor know exactly what you're using it for. I think that's fantastic because it makes that transparency on behalf of the student exceptionally easy. The same thing is available in Google Gemini as well. If you want students to generate images, this is the one tool I would recommend above all of them. It is still free. Once you log into your Microsoft account, when you are in Copilot, you can ask it to create an illustration, and it will do it because it's connected to DALL-E 3. Typically, when you do that, you get 4 images for every prompt, although sometimes I get 1, but usually what you will get are 4 images generated by DALL-E 3. I think they present the best quality. I think they're better than what Gemini can do. I think they're better than what Leonardo AI can do. And I think they're better than what Firefly can do through Adobe. And so this would be the one I recommend. It's an image that you can use, you can download. You can't edit it using Copilot. You also can't change it. So you can't ask it to make it, funnier or brighter, even though sometimes it says it can. Typically, when you try to follow up with a prompt, it doesn't work. So you're just going to get those 4 and try again. And as I understand it, you can ask it to generate images about 30 times a day. So the quantity that you can create is massive. And just in my opinion, I'm sorry, I think this gives you the best type of image. If you'd like an image that looks like a photograph, say photorealistic. If you'd like an image in a particular style of an artist, then say in the style of Picasso. But it does other things too, like a 1950s travel poster, a comic book cover, an infographic. It really could be something students can engage with if they want to develop images related to what they might be studying. And so this is the tool that I would recommend because I think it really gives you the most robustness, and you don't have to keep searching and going to other models. Just go here and you should get what makes you happy from the start. And to keep this as timely as possible, in the past couple of months, a lot of these models have been trying to push sort of the aspect of reasoning functionality, and they have just added this to Microsoft Copilot. So once you have an account, if everyone can see this, this is where you would type in the prompt if you wanted to ask a question. This is where you type in a prompt if you wanted to image. But notice what they just added in the past couple of weeks, the Think Deep button. What this means is they're trying to, market or position this as a model that will think and take longer to respond to you. And that's referred to as chain of thought, meaning that the AI has been programmed to get your prompt or get your query or your question and then think about it. Think about one answer and then another answer and then another answer, and then determine from those which one is the best. So rather than having a very rapid response when it wouldn't do the thinking, it now is going to take a little bit of time. As you can see what it says here, think deeper, takes about 30 seconds. But this is a feature that is free with Copilot. You have to be in pro models, I believe, of Perplexity and Gemini to get this type of reasoning approach, but you get this here for free. So that is something I would recommend if you have a very complex question about science that students need to work with, something that they need help with that might have multiple steps. Ask the system to think deeper. And that's really pretty neat because it just happened in the past couple of weeks in terms of that being a feature. So again, Copilot. And then the last one, because they just keep adding things, once you are engaged with this in terms of having the AI on the right side and the browser on the left side, it actually has a feature that's unique, which is screen capture, in that you can clip part of the screen and then ask the AI to interact only with that part of the screen. So if there's something that students are really struggling with and they want to focus on it, they can simply clip it out and ask the AI to deal with it. What is also nice is if the student still has trouble with it, they can use some of the annotation tools that you see here that I've tried to demonstrate. They can underline their questions, they can add text to it, and then they can send that to you for clarification. So what I've tried to do here is highlight the different tools, different underlining. They can add arrows, they can add like little notes. I've delineated one here with this one, and then they can send that to you as an image. And again, this idea of transparency, open communication, quick communication, really fantastic. So this is the only AI that has that little clipping feature, and I think it's quite beneficial. Once you clip it, you will see the little tool menu appear, tool menu, pardon me, to be able to implement all these things, and I think that's really very neat. So that one's a lot of fun. And then Google Gemini, really very nice as well in terms of what we need here. What I'm showing you in this particular case is now it will give you citations. It also will give you multiple responses, which they used to show automatically by default. So you'll get a prompt response, but it will give the option to look at 3 other responses that it has generated. So Google Gemini is great because it accepts image uploads and it has excellent computer vision. So if you have a photograph that you're sharing with a student could ask, where was this photo taken? What season of the year might this be? What type of animal is it? Whatever you want to an association with the image, Google Gemini does pretty well. A test for this, you can take a picture of food and then ask it what would be a recipe for this. And I've done that before. So it does very well with images and interacting with images. As we said, it will give you and the students multiple drafts so they can maybe look at different responses and see which one that they prefer. The drafts are now hidden by default, unfortunately, but they can click on a little action arrow to get those to show. This is also one that allows you just click on this sort of little atom button down here, and it will allow students to share their interactions through Google Docs or Gmail, so that idea of transparency. And then in-text citations are becoming more commonplace with this as well, so you can click and then be taken to the source online. And we all know that really validating and vetting information is very important these days, especially since all of the internet has been mined. You really want to make sure, particularly with science, that you're getting accurate information. If you want to use Google Earth it would be really quite appropriate, I think, for the second E, which is this idea of exploring. And we have a screen capture here, a little highlight, because it actually allows you to look if they have the images of developments over time. So in this particular historical imagery, I was able to look at the Lake Mead National Recreation Area and over time see how the level of water decreased. And I thought that might be very fascinating for students if they have to look at something over time, if they have to look at a particular location at a particular date, they can use this historical imagery feature to do that. And then they also can find locations for different things if they want to do some particular type of search. So if they're doing some sort of geographical research, depending upon what that might be, this could be a very useful tool for them. It manipulates global satellites. So it isn't just focused on the United States. An individual can pick any part of the globe that they're interested in. And that certainly is nice because then students can follow up on their interests and it's kind of customizable in terms of what they're accessing. The historical imagery allows you to just move along that timeline and see the evolution. It could be, forest growth or deforestation. It could be, in the case of this, rising or lowering water tables. It's really quite exciting, and you can sort of drill down and get really detailed information if you'd like. And then time-lapse, you can automate this as well. So if you're doing something with geography or something, related to climate change, obviously, this would be a wonderful tool for you. Illicit AI, I'm just recommending this because we have talked, at least in passing, about the quality of information you can find online. Elicit AI and Research Rabbit both specialize in only focusing on peer-reviewed academic sources. So you really do not need to worry if you're having students work in either one of those platforms, Elicit or Research Rabbit, that they are going to be using information that is not high quality. It collects research papers based on your query. So you type in your query and then it will collect them. We will see that it allows you through 34 different filters to really drill down in terms of what you would like to get out of the research that it has collected for you. So particular data sets, particular experimental techniques, main findings. So you can just continue to get at the specifics as to always having to deal with something that's maybe very broad or very generic in terms of what you would get probably from just a regular internet search. You can add a new step. This lets you ask questions about papers. You can extract data. And again, all of this you can do for free. Probably get to work with a few more queries and more papers if you have the paid account. But from what I've seen from Elicit and both Research Rabbit, they're exceptionally robust with that free account. And I would highly recommend either one of them if you want quality research to be undertaken by your students. GLASP AI is wonderful for accessibility, and it's also wonderful for clarity. GLASP AI is an extension, and what that provides for students is a complete, as you see here on the right side, time-stamped transcript of a YouTube video with one click. The only caveat is GLASP AI only works with videos that have closed captions or already have a transcript attached to it. But what is nice about it is the clear presentation. What is also nice about it is the timestamp. So if you're having students watch material and they're really stuck with information at minute 11:04 and they don't remember exactly what it said, or they don't know how to rephrase it or summarize it, they can share with you the transcript and say, there it is at minute 11:04, and you can drill down and see what that is. And I have that engaged here with a brief, it's not really a documentary, but a brief section or piece looking at Inca archaeological sites. So you will see here that I clicked on the button, and this is the transcript right here. And it's usually pretty accurate. So it had to have closed captions for this, and it does, but it's nice that I can click on this and create a transcript from those closed captions. And I think that's a wonderful tool. We have a very strong ELA population on campus, and I think that that's just fantastic to help them if they're having to work with audiovisual materials. And you can see here, this is just sort of a blow up of what that transcript looks like. So it's GLASP AI, and that is an extension. It presents rather the entire transcript in one click. So if a student wants to follow along as opposed to sort of real-time captions, this just gives it to them and they can be there taking notes, they could print it out, etc. It just really helps, I think, assist students. It does have to have closed captions or a transcript already, otherwise the feature does not work. We will see that there is no video time limit on this. Some video summary tools do have a time limit. 15 minutes, 12 minutes, that's usually pretty common. With this, the video could be an hour long. It doesn't matter. It's going to present all that information to you all the way. And then the transcripts can be copied. In this particular case, because I was connected to ChatGPT, you could export it to ChatGPT. You can have it translated. You can have it summarized. Pardon me. I think this is a fantastic tool for aiding in communication, note-taking, formative assessment, whatever you'd like. Goblin tools, this is just to help students plan. So if you have a very complicated project that they have to undertake, Goblin tools was specifically designed for ADHD students with the idea of helping them focus and plan. What you do with this tool is you just give it a task. I maybe have to do some sort of difficult presentation. I might have to work, in a group and do these different stages. I might have to work through some type of lab. You give the AI the task, and then you get to tell it what you think the complexity of that is in relationship to how you feel prepared. So 1 chili pepper means you do not think that it is a very challenging task. 4 chili peppers means you think it's an exceptionally challenging task. And what you see here, I hope, is what came when I asked or told it, I have to do a group presentation, persuasive speech. It's a 3 for me. I don't know what to do. So you click on the AI and it creates all these steps in a checklist form, which is great. I can print this out, can mark it as I go. You might not think it's detailed enough. So you'll notice that each one of those categories has a little blue wand next to it. If you click on that, it can create additional steps. So if this is too vague and you really want more advice, you can click on that and it will drill deeper and give you additional steps for each one of those major steps. Fantastic. And all of this is absolutely free. Breaks down those complex tasks into much more manageable pieces. We all need this type of help from every now and then. Again, if it's too vague and you're like, I need more help, you can keep asking it to drill down to give you more of that support. And it also provides additional support in terms of writing and some other things, as you can see up in that top menu where it says formalizer, judge, professor. That's just giving a student, if they want, guidance and assistance in terms of writing, in terms of tone, in terms of trying to understand your audience better, in terms of different writing styles from more formal to maybe a little bit more informal. And that's kind of a nice bonus too, but I primarily focus on this tool as being for something to help you really understand the progression for a complex task or something that you have to do in the future so that you can best prepare for it ahead of time. And I think we've talked a lot about this particular tool at our institution, and students really do seem to appreciate it, especially since it's so customizable. We've already talked about consensus. It just helps focus on that specific scientific research, and that is a GPT in ChatGPT. So it's pretty straightforward, and we'll try and get some more tools so it's a little bit more interesting. Again, now we get to the explore. So we've got that kind of first part when we were looking at engage, we keep on exploring, and then we'll get to explain. Heuristica is really quite neat because it does a few things. The first piece that I've shared with you here, it'll do a mind map based on who, what, where, when, why. So you give it some sort of AI prompt in terms of what you want it to look at, then the AI will generate the who, the what, the where, the why, and connect them for you, as you can see in these boxes that are already filled in. You can't do all of these options that you see in that far right-hand column because we have the free account, but this is fantastic for helping students see connections between key ideas in science, answering questions, moving things around, and I think that's really quite neat. If that is not a feature that you're happy with, what it can do in addition to creating those mind maps is it allows you to create downloadable flashcards. And so this is something that students might be interested in. You can choose how many flashcards. You can provide the information you want the flashcards to be based on. You can download that information. Again, the free plan has some limited functionality. You get to save 3 concept maps so you can keep working with those over and over again. That might not give you as much variety as you want to. But if there's something that's particularly challenging every semester that really is sort of that pain point for students, maybe that's what you want to use this tool for, to really articulate those connections and share them with the students so they have those explanations of the who, the why, the how already built in. You can edit the nodes, and then the additional tools completely free. You can generate flashcards. You can work with creating essays. So again, for formative assessment, an outline generator, and then it also creates study notes. So this is something I think we at our institution like to tell students, if you're going to use AI, really look at it obviously as an aid, as an assistant, not a replacement for your work. And formative assessment completely fits that bill in terms of being able to assist students understand information better and master it better. This is another thing that kind of overlaps with what I shared in terms of GLASS, but this is a real-time AI closed caption generator, and it doesn't need to have closed captions or a transcript to work. I think this really kind of opens the doors if you have material that lacks closed captions or transcripts, and it is actually quite accurate. This is live caption, and this is through the Chrome browser. So every student has access to this. This is a standard feature. It's not an add-on. If you go into settings and go to accessibility, it is the first feature there. It's toggled off by default, but you can toggle it on. And again, Unlike glass, it does not need to have closed captions, and it does not need to have a transcript, which I think is wonderful. So you just go into settings, accessibility, and then you toggle that on. I have an example here from a Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movie. Yes, it does have closed captions, but I chose this clip because there's more spoken dialogue as opposed to singing and dancing. I have tried this tool with commercials. I have tried it with musical sequences, and it does a pretty good job. So we'll play this so that you can see what it's like to operate in real time. Again, this is live caption. I apologize if I didn't share sound when I shared my screen, but you can see here that we're dealing with the dialogue between the two characters, and live caption is presenting that to us in real time without having, again, to require closed captions or a transcript. And so that's really quite exciting. And again, in terms of accessibility and assisting ELA students, it's great. And if you have material that maybe doesn't have that, now you don't have to lose that material because you still can make it accessible. And this would be something that students would be able to toggle on in their browser. Research Rabbit, to be honest, that's really just kind of like Elicit, and I outline that in the packet. Really the same types of features. You get vetted information that comes from peer-reviewed journals, academic sources, etc. And then you can see how the things connect, what the authors have written, where they have different citations. You can pull those out. If there are any PDFs that you can download, it'll share those with you. So it's a very robust research tool, again, all for free. SciSpace, another thing for exploring. This might be of interest. It doesn't have the URL SciSpace, which is kind of odd. So that has been included in the packet as well so that you can find it if you would like to. It really does a bunch of different things for you, as you can see here, and that's kind of outlined. All of this is available using the free plan. So that's fantastic, again, that we don't have to be asking people to pay. It provides a list of research papers on a given topic. It allows you to chat with the PDFs through AI. It will extract key concepts or data from the source material that you're asking it to work with. It also generates citations, and it can transform PDFs into short highlight videos. I tried that a couple times, and it seemed to work for me. Very, very short. But if we're talking about presenting information, as they say with the UDL principles, through different means, this is great because now you can have a little bit of video incorporated here if you'd like to do that based upon the information. So again, SciSpace is not located at scispace.com. It's at typeset.io. A little misleading, but it might be something you want to look at in terms of working with information and presenting it in a different way. So some of these tools, obviously, I think are kind of self-explanatory. That's a nice one. Graphy will create really nice AI-generated charts and graphs. The only problem is because it's free, it's going to have that watermark, and that might bother some people, which I completely understand, but they are pretty nice. So you can have it with a dark background. You can have it with a light background. Again, we're using AI to create these charts and graphs, so that might be something you want students to use because they'll get exposure of using AI tools to present information in different ways. Free plan has unlimited charts, which is nice, as long as you don't mind them having a watermark. You can create 3 boards where you can work with the information and create different, mind maps and things, and you can simply erase those and keep working on them. So I don't think 3 is that limiting in this particular case, but you can't do that much with AI because some of the tools you are prevented from using because you are not paying. You can use multiple data sources, Google Sheets, Excel, CSV files, tabular data, even manually entered data to create these charts. So that offers some flexibility in terms of our source material. And you can ask Claude to generate information that can be cut and pasted, into Notepad. And then you can use that to kind of work around some of the restraints. Multiple charts and graph formats, so you get to choose. So it's not always just one standard presentation. And then all charts and graphs can be downloaded, even though they have the watermark. So students can use this, incorporate that information into a PowerPoint presentation, into a Word document, which is very nice, as long as people don't mind that watermark, but it kind of disappears if you use a dark background. So now they can be incorporating visuals that are actually quite fancy into their presentations and submissions for faculty. MyLens AI is wonderful. This will create visual representations of information. So what we have here is a flow chart, and I typed in the process of photosynthesis, and this is the downloadable image that is created. So it will create this storyboard, as they call it, and then you can download it. It also does mind maps, so you can have students working with very complex, scientific theories, historical theories, whatever you'd like, and you can see that the information, and that's really the basic purpose of MyLens, is to present content to you visually. They refer to these as storyboards. They have a few different types, but we will see that it is very nice because you can do tables. You can also do charts and things, and all of this is downloadable, and you can share these with others. So if you just don't want to bother with downloading, you can share the link, and individuals can click on this, and they'll be able to access these visual materials. And so that's kind of nice. Napkin AI, this is my favorite. I love this tool. It will create infographics for you, and all you have to do is provide it the text. I know that this ends at 4, so I'll just kind of highlight this one for you. I don't want to go over, but this is Napkin AI, absolutely free. You can provide text to the page, or you can have AI generate text for the page, which you see here. So what I've done on this particular page is best ways to avoid procrastination. Pretty straightforward stuff. What you do is you highlight whatever text you want the AI to create an infographic for. Then what you do is you just simply click on the lightning bolt. Then you wait. And it will create a list of options. You can see here, we can do sort of your standard circle. You could do this kind of curly Q that looks like it's a macaroni piece. You can do, it's really, oh, that one's very nice. You can see here, we have all of these options. And once you pick one, I really like this one. You click on it, then you can kind of finesse its style a little bit. Do you want it to kind of fade? Do you want it to be, more robust or filled in? We'll just go with this one. Now, what's nice about this is once you choose it, you can edit it. So you can edit the text that you see here. You can introduce new text. You can move the text around, and you can even change the little icon graphics if you want to. You click on them and you click on a little lightning, and then you can change that as well. See if you don't like that one. Maybe this one. Once this is done, you just click on it and you download it. So you now have taken any text that you're interested in. You've created an infographic. It's engaging, it's creative, it breaks up tests. Students will find this very fascinating. You can have them work off of this. You can have them augment it, and then you can export it. So now it is an image file that they can embed or that you can embed. And this is really a lot of fun. This tool is still in beta. They do keep adding new options in terms of the visuals. You can't determine that yourself, although you do have some editing tools that you can see, so you could create your own. But it does have an ever-growing options list of infographics that it shares with you. So that is Napkin AI. The only caveat is if you have a numbered list and you import it into Napkin, it doesn't recognize those distinct numbers. You have to use the formatting of Napkin itself to put those numbers in, and then it will have something, for example, in different steps or something like that, that you need those numbers to be associated with. So that is Napkin AI. We have a couple examples, just 2 here of additional infographics. Sorry, there's MyLens. We have this one, which is really quite fun, and this one too. So in this case, I wanted that numerical sequence. I had to let the AI and Napkin assign those numbers so that it would have that procedure associated with it. So Napkin AI, fantastic. You provide the text, or AI does, editable, downloadable, shareable. That's really pretty fun. That's the best tool that everybody loves. We will end with this so that if you have any questions, you can ask. This is Notebook LM. Wonderful for formative assessment of any kind. Notebook LM is unique because it allows you to determine what information the AI works with. Typically, those are uploaded files. If you upload files, you can upload 20 separate files of up to 500 100,000 words each, meaning you can create a 10 million word database for this particular AI to interact with. And all of that is vetted by you. So if you have particular PDFs that you say are just absolutely mandatory and all students have to work with them, share them with the student, they will upload them here. You can ask the AI to interact with all of those files, or you can ask the AI to interact with only a handful of them because you can tell it which files you want it to work with. This is Notebook LM. Now, in this particular case, I only have one file, but if you wanted to upload more, you can see by toggling, you're telling the system what it wants to work with. You can also add URLs now, and you also can include or tell the model to use URLs. So all of this information is vetted by you. This is the only information the model will work with. It will not go to any additional sources, and any interaction that you have with the model is not being used to train the model. So it's fantastic in terms of maintaining privacy. You can see that the AI chatbot is located in the middle, so you can ask the AI anything about these PDFs. But to be honest, the most exciting component is going to be the audio overview. And so I will share that to end because this is really pretty fancy. You can have a podcast created of the source summary, which I've already done. And so now we will listen to it. And I hope you can hear it.
Okay, ready to dive into something kind of freaky. Mm-hmm. We're going to be talking about predicting the future, but like the future of your brain.
Yeah, that's right. Predicting brain states. It's not exactly mind reading, but we're getting closer and closer.
Were you able to hear that? It's amazing. So it will create a 2-person professional podcast. It's always a male and a female having some sort of dialogue about the information that you have shared. Just fantastic. You can download that file as an audio file and you can share it with your students. For issues of accessibility, if you upload that audio file to Notebook LM and click on it, it creates a transcript. You can actually interact with that podcast and ask it questions. And I've heard rumors of maybe you actually might be able to edit that podcast in the future, which would make this amazing. The last piece, and I promise I will be quiet about it, but Notebook LM is really pretty cool, is if you look here in this right-hand corner, this is where the strength of it is, the formative assessment piece. Notebook LM will create a study guide, a frequently asked question sheet, a briefing doc on whatever information you have chosen for it to access. So if a student wants key vocabulary words, Notebook LM will generate it for them. If they want short answer questions, Notebook LM will generate it for them. If they want answers to those questions, meaning the short answer ones, it will give it to them, and it will also generate essay questions. This is fantastic. It's also very good if we have students who get distracted very easily from all the things that go online. This will give them a very nice, quiet, undistracted environment to work with. And so I think it's great. So I want to end with Napkin and Notebook LM because I think those are universal tools that can be used. And again, we try to flush it out in the handout. So I didn't carry over 4. And thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Yeah, there were a couple of questions. I actually have another workshop starting in a couple of minutes that I ended up starting. No, you're good. I'm learning how to plan, my poor planning. I actually started it on my phone so people can go in there. There was and I am going to send, someone asked about the recording. When I get off, I will, and it processes, I will share it because there was a ton of information. I shared the handouts here, but I will also share those again. So yes, there were a couple of questions about, I don't know anymore. But that was like so much information. So I will totally have to look at those resources and watch part of this again too. So thank you so much.
Flora.yost@kirkwood.edu. So if you have any questions about any of these tools or a question that, we don't have time to answer, I apologize, but at least I got in under 4. Please feel free to send those to me and I will respond as quickly as possible. And I really appreciate the opportunity to present and talk about AI. So thank you.
I'll CC you on the email that goes out in case people do have questions, and that'll just make it easier for everyone if that's okay. I appreciate you all being here so much. And I look forward to more and hopefully having you come back at another time and talk with us. So anyway,
Very kind. Thank you all very much. Have a great afternoon.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.